Only that too. Thank you, Lord. Mm, okay, okay. All right, guys. Welcome, 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 welcome to Canonia Shalom midweek Bible study. I'm excited. I know you guys are excited. And last week we went over the title for last week was Seth the Compensation, and we went over Cain's generations and into his lineage and things of that nature, and we went over um a little bit what took place with Lamech, one of the descendants of Cain. Actually, no, we went over what took place with Canaan, um, Tubal Cain, actually, Tubal Cain, and Lamech. We went over those things, and we went over what Seth's name meant and how he was the compensation, how he was appointed, and he was the compensation for what took place between Cain and Abel, how God gave, appointed her another son, compensated her with another son, and how compensation meant to reward one with something that had been lost or something that had been taken from them, so they were compensated for it. And Seth was that compensation. But I talked last week. We read a little bit from Yasher, which we understand as a text that we can't 100% say this is scripture, but we can use it theoretically to give us some type of knowledge or understanding based upon what could have been going on during that time. And we're going to read a little bit more from that today. Today is going to be more reading than anything. Um, because we're gonna read all of chapter 5. You know, normally when I go through the chapters, I actually like segment the chapters. I have them in a little format. Like I take half, the first half, not even the first half. I take like the first quarter of the chapter, and then the second quarter, and the third quarter, then the fourth quarter. Depends on how I'm doing it. But this week I'm doing an entire chapter in one class. Because this chapter isn't really a lot. It's more so going over the generations of Adam, but we're going to be doing more reading than anything. Um, and after this chapter, I want it to be understood. After this chapter, uh, we will be going into the book of Enoch. Because I told you guys last week that I planned on stopping Genesis for a while to go into Enoch to give the context of what was taking place during that time. So that way, as we're reading Noah and reading about what's taking place during the time of Noah, and we're reading about what all the reason for him having to build the ark, that we have the context on why these things take place. Because some people will try to make God out to be just this murderer, and they will make God to be just this evil, conniving God, and things of this and malicious and stuff like that. But that is not the case. And Enoch is going to give us the context. Even though Genesis lays some type of foundation, but Enoch gives us better context. I'm not sure if I will go into Jubilees, but um next week we will definitely be opening up the book of Enoch, and it's going to be good. So it's going to be a lot of reading going on with the next couple of studies, and I'm asking you guys for that next one to engage for real, really engage, because listen, open, have the questions ready and things of that nature, because we're going to be going in, and be willing to conversate, because we're going to be going into it, and I want you guys to be able to really learn from it and have the proper context on what's taking place. Um, but with that being said, the title for today's Bible study is Barashiyth, the generations of Adam. Bereshit, the generations of Adam. Um, and this chapter has 32 verses. So I'm gonna read this first chapter first, and then we're just gonna get into it. All right, guys. Um, and if I'm going too fast, like I said, it's gonna be a lot of reading today. Please ask me to slow down. Tell me to slow down. If I'm going too fast, because sometimes I can read very fast. So let's get into it. Genesis chapter 5, starting at verse 1 all the way to verse 32. This is what it reads. It says, "This is the book of the generations of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God, and he blessed them and named them man when they were created. When Adam had lived 130 years, he fathered a son in his own likeness after his image and named him Seth. The days of Adam after he fathered Seth were 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. When Seth had lived 105 years, he fathered Enos. Seth lived after he fathered Enos 807 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. When Enos had lived 90 years, he fathered Canaan. Enos lived after he fathered Canaan 815 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. When Canaan had lived 700, when Canaan had lived 70 years, when Canaan had lived 70 years, he fathered Mahaliel. Canaan lived after he fathered Mahaliel 840 years, and had other sons. He had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. When Mahaliel had lived 65 years, he fathered Jared. Mahaliel lived after he fathered Jared 830 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Mahaliel were 895 years, and he died. When Jared had lived 162 years, he fathered Enoch. Jared lived after he fathered Enoch 800 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he fathered Methuselah. Enoch walked with God after he fathered Methuselah 300 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he fathered Lamech. Methuselah lived after he fathered Lamech 782 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he fathered a son, and called his name Noah, saying, out of the ground that the Lord has cursed, this one shall bring us relief from our work and from the painful toil of our hands. Lamech lived after he fathered Noah 595 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. After Noah was 500 years old, Noah fathered Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. This is Genesis chapter 5, verses 1 through 32. First thing we're going to talk about, it says in verse 3, it says, when Adam had lived 130 years, he fathered a son in his own likeness, after his image, and named him Seth. Just for a moment, can someone tell me, without any humor or anything like that, seriously, can anyone tell me what sticks out here to you on verse 3, where it says, when Adam had lived 130 years, he fathered a son in his own likeness, after his image and named him Seth. Do anybody see anything important there?
He fathered his son in the likeness and the image, in his, in his likeness and in his image.
Why does that stick why does that stick out to you?
Because we were made in the likeness and the image of God. So
Hmm.
he so you know that's he didn't just bear his father's image, he bear the image of God.
Okay. Okay. Tiara, you have anything to say? Why did that stick out to you? Because you basically agree with Lonnie.
It stuck out to me. Well, first I'm questioning how he did that. I mean, apart from maybe his son coming out to look like him, it said that he fashioned him after in his own likeness after his image. So that's interesting compared to us being made in the likeness and image of Yahuwah.
Hmm. Okay. So this is good. Okay. Anybody else before I move forward? Anybody else see anything that sticks out? Is there anything that sticks out about this? And I'm actually read verses 1, 2, and 3 again. It says, "This is the book of the generations of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. Male and female, he created them, and he blessed them and named them man when they were created. When Adam had lived 130 years, he fathered a son in his own likeness, after his image, and named him Seth." Do anybody see anything outside of what Lonnie and Tiara said? If you're in agreement with Lonnie and Tiara, that's fine. But does anybody see anything else, or does anything else to you stick out, or does anything else to you don't make sense here? I just want to give you guys the opportunity before I
Can
move
you read
forward.
that again?
Want me to read again? Okay. Verses 1 and 3, verses 1 through 3. It says, "This is the book of the generations of Adam. This is the book of the generations of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. Male and female, he created them, and he blessed them and named them man when they were created. When Adam had lived 130 years, he fathered a son in his own likeness after his image and named him Seth." Matter of fact, I'm going to read verse 4 too. "The days of Adam after he fathered Seth were 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died."
Okay, I want to say something.
Go ahead.
The only thing I would say I'm getting from it, when he made Seth after his image, because Seth was kind of like the redeemer to his bloodline, and Christ would come through him, even after Cain killed Abel. So
Okay.
it seemed like he did that because it was a do-over. Just like when God created man, it was a new creation after the angels. That's what I'm kind of getting from it.
Okay. Anybody in agreement with that, or anybody want to add to that? I'm just looking for some engagement today.
Yeah, that was good. I agree. I like that.
Okay. Okay. Anybody having an opinion on it? Okay. Listen, y'all better speak now, or forever hold your peace. Because I don't want to start this. I was thinking that. Like, you scared to talk. It's the perfect opportunity to talk right now. Okay. Because this we're engaging right now. This is to get you guys to think. Um, oh, let me add them back. But okay. So being that no one else has anything that they would like to put forth or that they see, um, let's get into it. Verse 3, it says, "When Adam had lived 130 years, he fathered his son in his own likeness, after his image, and named him Seth." So scripture notes that Adam begat a son in his own likeness, after his image. And what is it showing us? It's teaching us that God planted Adam. He put in Adam the ability and the power to reproduce his godlike image so that his work would be like that of God. Because remember, God made man, that's Adam and Eve, in his image and in his likeness, right? So anything that comes from them would be by default in his image and in his likeness. But Tiara pointed out something, and I'm gonna get into this because look, scripture does not say the same with regard to Cain and Abel. Matter of fact, I believe when we get to chapter 3, it just says that, and Adam knew Eve, and she bore Cain, and then he knew her again, and she bore Abel. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's what it says. It doesn't say anything about an image. It doesn't say anything about and not chapter 3, but chapter 4. Um it says, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was the tiller of the ground. Can anybody tell me why it doesn't say that they were made in the image and likeness of God? Or why, can anybody tell me why they believe it wouldn't say that they were created in the image and likeness of God?
Because the fall had already happened, so it looked like they. I'm not gonna say conceived in sin because obviously they were married, but they were created after the fall.
Now I can understand why you would say that, but Seth was created after them. So wouldn't he be created after the fall?
Yeah, so are they made in the image of Adam and Eve and not in actual God's image?
Okay, okay. That's a question that you're posing, and we can get into that. Anybody else? Because verse 3 definitely lets us know, and Adam lived 130 years and beget a son in his own image, in his own likeness and after his own image, and called his name Seth. So he already here. Well, Cain, we know Cain killed Abel, right? Scripture does not say the same in regard to Cain and Abel. Why? Because nor does it state how long Cain lived. It doesn't tell us that. It doesn't tell us, because we're about to go through the whole generations, and it's going to tell us how long Seth lived, and how it tells us how long Adam lived, how long Seth lived, how long it just Enos lived. It just keep going on, right? But it doesn't do the same about Cain's children, right? Um, and nor does it state um how old he was when he begat his first son. It actually the Jewish scholar says that it omits the above clause because the former was murdered, being Abel, and the latter, being Cain, his descendants perished in the flood. So what they believe is that they say that the Torah tells the story of the murderer Cain to stress God's righteousness. God was long suffering with Cain, but he ultimately punished him. This is in keeping with and that God will by all no means clear the guilty, according to Exodus 34:7. Go ahead, Tiara, what you got to say?
To kind of piggyback off what Taylor said, I just see Seth being that part of fulfilling the prophecy of crushing the head of the serpent. And even when Adam and Eve sinned, he still told them that you will be redeemed. Like he had already planned it out. And I kind of see that being why he was made in his image, because it was like I already said a redemption. Adam fell, but then I'm going to birth Seth and make him into what I was supposed to be and bring forth Christ later down the line.
Later down the line. Okay. So my question to you guys, because remember I taught you guys that Seth was the compensation. He was the appointed one, right? But compensation means he was he was the counteracting. Since Abel died, I'm gonna counter his death by giving you Seth, someone who's gonna basically do what he was supposed to do, but what he didn't get to do. It's a compensation. Um, Tiara said something that she said Adam fashioned him, even though it doesn't say that in the scripture. From what I was looking at, the fact that she put emphasis on Adam being able to basically have a son in his image, um, means a lot. Now, let me ask you a question, y'all, because Adam was what did it say, 130 years old when he first had Seth, right? And then after that, he spent so many years with Seth. Now, how many days did it take God to, how can I say this? When God made man in his image, right? He made man on the, I want to say it was the 6th day. He made man on day 6. And he took the time to build man up. He took the time to fashion man. He took the time to breathe into man. He took the time to inspire man. So the whole idea of making something in your image and in your likeness is having the ability to take the time and spend time, how can I say, perfecting the detail of what it means to make them in your image. Y'all understand what I'm saying? And please do talk back to me today, because I want to get you guys to think here, because after, it doesn't tell us how old Abel was when he died. It doesn't tell us how old Cain was when he killed him. It doesn't even tell us how old he was when he left. But what we do know is that Abel died, and it had to be before Seth was ever born, because Adam was 130 years old when he finally had Seth. So it's no telling how old Cain and Abel actually were, or how young they actually were. All we know is that when Adam reached 130, Abel was already dead, and Cain was already starting his family. Cain was already a vagabond. The fact that he was excommunicated from where he was, the same detail that will go into, people would say, you ever hear someone say, when they have a child, oh, he looks like you. Oh, he looks like his mom, or he looks like his father, but I wonder who he's gonna act like. You ever hear that? I wonder who this child is gonna act like when they get older, or they, and as the child starts to
Yeah.
grow,
Or
we
they
start to,
say, are they the one? Or something like that when they're born.
when they're born, and we start to see, as the child gets older, we start to see the mannerisms of the parents and the child, and that comes from not only the child being, that being their father, so it's in their DNA, but also from them picking up the habits of their father. So being created, being created, okay, being created. Remember, when I went over the word for create, when we did Genesis chapter 1, and I talked about how God created, um, how the word for create was bara in Hebrew, and it meant to fill. It meant to, it meant to fill. It meant to make fat, right? The fattening or filling up of something, of a space that is empty. When God created Adam and Eve in his image, he put everything that he is, he put his image and in his likeness, he filled them with that. And this is why it says he breathed into Adam's nostrils, and man became a living soul. So he filled man with himself. When it says, and mind you, it doesn't say this. This is something that you will have to study, and this is something that you will have to just, by revelation of the Holy Spirit, because people will read this and be like, well, Cain and Abel was his sons also. So how are they not in his image? Adam didn't have the time to create. he didn't have the time to fill them with his image and likeness. When God filled Adam and Eve with his image and likeness, he had the time to form their bodies. He had the time to breathe into them the breath of life. He had the time to inspire them. That's what it means to breathe on. And by inspiring them, they were able to speak as he spoke, right? And do the things as he did. They were able to have a character like God, because God took the time to create in them that character and that image. Abel was not alive long enough to get that character. Cain couldn't abstain from sin long enough to even get that character, because had he gotten that character, he probably would have never killed his brother. So the reason why it says that Seth was created in the image and the likeness of his father is because Seth is the only child that would have gotten the nuance and the detail of what it meant to be Adam. Abel didn't, because his life was cut short. Cain didn't, because he became a vagabond. And Cain started creating his children and having children of his own. But Abel was up under his father's tutelage, up under his mother's instructions. I'm going to say Seth. Seth was up under that. So it is letting us know that at 130 years old, he had a son, and he was able, and he created his son. He begat a son in his own likeness, and after his image, he begat him. What does beget mean? He bore him, he bare him. This was his child, this was his kindred. To birth him, he was birthed out. He travailed through his mother womb. But it also is the word here in Hebrew is yalad. And it speaks to not only the process of being born, but it also speaks to the process of bringing forth, right? But not only the bringing forth, but it also speaks to a child, the bearing of children, generation. Okay? So Seth would have been the one that's going to carry his generation. This is why this is titled Adam's Generations, because it is Seth who continues the legacy of his father, not Cain. It is Seth who becomes inspired by the words of his father, not Cain and Abel. It is Seth who is able to watch his father and watch his mother and watch the things that they do and how they operate with the animals around them and how they operate in the earth. It is Seth that gets this privilege. So it is Seth that it is said of that he was created, or that he was born or came in the image and the likeness of his father, that he was begat of Adam. He was begat of Adam. And being begat, which is Yalad, it means that he went through the birthing pains to come forth. So we're not only talking about that him coming through the womb of Eve, but going through the process of maturity to become his father's son. Cain and Abel didn't get to do this. Cain and Abel didn't get to do this. And I just wanted to bring that up, because it's important that we understand that this was not said of them. And this is something that sticks out here. Now, listen to this. Adam had Seth, from what we was reading, at 130. Seth had Enos at 105. That would have made, when Seth was 105, Adam would have been 235. Enos had Canaan at 90. That would have made Seth, at the time that Canaan was born, 195, and Adam would have been 325. So Adam is 325 by the time Canaan is born. By the time Canaan is born, and Canaan is Seth's grandson, which would make him Adam's great-great-grandson. And Adam is still alive. And all of them during this time have Adam in their lives. They have Adam there. And they are constantly perpetuating what it means to be in that image and that likeness. These are the generations of Adam. Canaan had lived 70 years and had Mahalalel, which would have made Enos 160, Seth 265, Adam 395, and after Mahalalel was born, Mahalalel had Jared 65 years later. During that time, Canaan would have been 135, Enos is now 225, Seth is now 330 years old, Adam is 460 years old. Yeah, just follow me with this. Adam is still alive. Now, Jared lived 162 years and had Enoch. Now, we know who Enoch is. When we was reading, it says that Enoch, he walked with God. He walked with God, and God took him. Jared had Enoch at 162 years old. Mahalalel would have now been 227. Canaan at that time is now 237. Enos is now 387. Seth is now 492. Adam is now 622 years old. Enoch then goes and he lives 65 years. And he finally has his son, Methuselah. When Methuselah is born, when he comes into the world, Jared is 227 years old. Mahalalel is 292. Canaan is 302. Enos is 452. Seth is 557. Adam is 687 years old. Adam is still alive. Then Methuselah, at 187 years old, he fathers Lamech. Now, Enoch is 252 years old. Jared is 414 years old. Mahalalel is 479 years old. Canaan is 489 years old. Enos is 639 years old. Seth is 744 years old. Adam is 874 years old. Lamech was 102 when he had Noah. Now listen to this. Methuselah would have been 369 years old. Enoch left the earth at 365. Methuselah was 300 when Enoch left the earth. Adam was 873 years old when Enoch was taken. By the time Noah starts to build the ark, everyone is dead, with the exception of Methuselah. Adam died at 930 years old. So Adam got to meet all of his generation that came down, with the exception of Noah. He met Enoch. He was alive when Methuselah was alive. But by the time by the time Noah came to the scene, and right before Enoch left, Adam was dead. Around the time, like right after Enoch had went on, Adam would have died. And Adam was alive during this time. He died at 930. So he gets to watch over his seed as they are fulfilling the prophecy to bruise the head of the serpent. Remember, the prophecy was that they would bruise the head of the serpent. That was the prophecy. And he gets to watch that. But by the time Noah builds the ark, we will get into that. Everyone has now passed, and only Methuselah is alive. Now I want to get into the names. I want to get into the names, the meaning of the names. Adam. Adam name means man. We know that. He was the first man created. His name means man. Seth, we went over this. It means appointed or compensated. Enos. Enos means mortal man, feeble man, like man having the ability to be sick. You can start seeing man be sick. Enos. Then you have Canaan. Canaan means lamentation or sorrow. Then you have Maheliel. Maheliel means blessed of God or praise of God. Then we get Jared. Jared means to descend or shall come down. Then you get Enoch. Enoch means, it can mean so many things, because Enoch comes from the word Chanuk, and it means, it's where we get the word Hanukkah. It can mean dedication, but it could also mean to initiate. When you dedicate something, you are initiating something. It can also mean training and teaching. So Enoch means more than just being dedicated. It means more than just dedication, but it also means teaching, training, and initiation. Methuselah. Methuselah. Now, I know when you will read that, you'll think it's Medu and Selah, but it's actually Methu and Shalak. It's just that you can't, the way it's written is Salah, but it has the same, if you look at it in Hebrew, it looks like Shalak. And it means whose death will send or whose death will bring. Because Shalak means to send. It also means to bring. Methu, Shalah, Methu is a word for death. Mut, remember I told you mut means death. So it's a derivation from the word mut, means whose death will bring or send. Methuselah. Lamech name means the powerful or the despairing, because when you are when there's a lot of power can be despairing to others. The powerful or despairing. Noah or Noach means rest or comfort. Rest or comfort. Now, these are the generations of Adam. Now, it tells us, and remember, I say this a lot when I'm talking to people, because they say, oh, how come it doesn't talk about Adam's other sons and daughters? And how come it doesn't talk about the other people that was on the earth during that time? And let me tell you something about the Bible. Let me tell you something about the authors of Genesis and the authors of the Bible, period. If it is not relevant to the story, if it is not relevant to the point that they're trying to prove, they won't bring it up. It doesn't get any mention. They deal with relevance. So the relevance here is Adam's generations. Adam's generations would have had to been the sons of Seth, and this is why it says that Seth was created in the image and likeness of his father. So therefore, the sons and daughters that come from Seth, they are named. But notice it only names certain sons and certain daughters. And these certain sons and certain daughters are those that are made in the images of their fathers who follow after their father. And they follow after their father's father. So the ones who are named are the ones who uphold the legacy of Adam. Y'all understand that? Because remember, it says that when we're reading about Methuselah, and we're reading about Enoch, and we're reading about all these different ones, it said that they had sons, many sons and daughters. But the only one that's mentioned is this certain ones. And the ones that are mentioned, each of them, their name means something to their time. What am I saying here? When you take their names and you put them together, it's prophetic. How can I say that? It's prophetic. For instance, when you take Adam, Seth, and Enos, Adam, Seth, Enos, and Canaan, I would say, you get man appointed mortal sorrow, or man appointed mortal lamentation. What is this? What is this speaking about? The fall of man. When Adam fell, that you have Adam, which is the time of man, Seth, which is the time of appointing and compensation. Enos is the time that you see the mortalness of man. You start to see the feebleness of man, the weakness of man during the time of Enos. Canaan's time is the time of great sorrow. And it speaks that during the generations of Adam, Seth, Enos, and Canaan, you start to see man fall during that time. We're going to get into it. I'm going to show it. And then who's the next ones? The next ones are Mahaliel, Jared, Enoch. Yeah, Mahaliel, Jared, and Enoch. And what does their name mean together? The blessed God, or the praise of God, shall come down or descend, teaching, training, initiating, and dedicating. I'm going to read it again. The blessed God, when you take their names and put them together, the blessed God shall come down or descend, teaching, training, initiating, and dedicating. Why? Because Mahaliel means the blessed God or the praise of God. So the blessed God or the praise of God shall come down. Who is that? Well, that could be seen in two different things. One, that could be seen in Torah, because he is the word, and the first thing he came down and he gave them his Torah on Mount Sinai when he came and gave them Torah. And him and Moses was able to, Moses said he saw face to face, even though he between the cleft of the rock, right? And during that time, what happened? He descended on Mount Sinai and he taught and he trained. And from him giving Torah, what was happening? The children of Israel was now dedicated. What happened? There was the initiation of what? Of we have two different types of priesthoods, and we're gonna have to get into that another time. But we have the initiation of the Melchizedek, and we have the initiation of the Aaronic priesthood. This is during that time. So this is speaking of the time of Torah given to Moses, and it is prophetic of Mashiach, because Torah is a shadow of Mashiach. So just as much as this would be talking about the Torah given to Israel during that time, this is also talking about the Torah made flesh given to mankind. Okay? So what does that mean? The blessed God shall come down or descend, teaching, training, initiating, and dedicating. When Christ came, he did the same thing that Torah did. When he came down, he showed forth the praises of God. When he came down, he taught, he trained, and he initiated and dedicated. That's what he did. Next phase. Who we got? We got Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. It's the last three. What does it mean? His death, or whose death, shall bring the despairing or the powerful rest and comfort. So Methuselah by himself was like a timeline, because his name meant his death shall bring. His death shall bring. Or whose death shall bring. And then you have Lamech right after, the despairing or the powerful rest of comfort. So during the time of Lamech, there had been a lot of despair, but at the same time, in the earth, there was a lot of power. But with Noah was coming rest and comfort. Are you guys following me today? Y'all following me? I just want to know, y'all understanding? Is there any comments or questions before we go on? Because I want to make sure you guys are getting this. Dimitri, I see you unmuted your mic.
No, I'm just saying I follow you.
All right. Because listen, y'all, it's a lot. Because when you really look at it and put the whole sentence together, man appointed mortal sorrow, the blessed God shall come down or descend, teaching, training, initiating, and dedicating. His death shall bring the despairing and powerful rest and comfort. Not only is that speaking of each time period that they were living in, but the entirety of all from Adam 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10. From Adam to Noah, it's 10 people. All 10 of them during their time, we had all of this. But all 10 of them together paint a picture of Mashiach's coming. All 10 of them. Their names paint a picture of Christ, Mashiach, before he came on the scene. Their names is prophetic, and it's a prophetic utterance of him. Each of them are a picture of him. Each of them, each of their names. And this is another reason why names are so important. Names are so important. Because what I name you, what you are named, speaks to your character and your intention in the earth. So during Enoch, there was a time of teaching, training, initiating, and dedicating. During Methuselah, it was a time of understanding, like, listen, when he died, he's like a timeline. When he died, he's like a clock. He's an alarm system. When this man died, it's coming. It's coming. I remember way back when me and my father was doing a study on Methuselah and Noah, and we realized that when Methuselah died, the flood came the same year. Methuselah died within the same year of the flood. After Methuselah died, that's when the flood came. Methuselah was a sign to the children of the earth that once he dies, it's coming. You better get yourself in order because this man, he's getting old. They had something with them to let them know that once he dies, it's coming. So the whole time that Noah is building the ark, they could have been repenting. They could have been changing their ways because Methuselah was still alive. But I told you we're gonna do some more reading today. So I want to I sent the book of Yasha to the chat for you guys. As a matter of fact, I will. Let me see. Give me a second. Let me see if I could share it here, and you guys let me know if you can see it, because I think I could. I think I could share it here, and then we read it together. Just in case you guys didn't get the link. Give me a second. Let me know when you guys can see that.
I see it.
Okay. Okay. So we're gonna read a little bit. Not a little bit. We're gonna read. Remember, I told you that we hold Yasha as being theoretical. We hold Yasha as being something that can give us some type of understanding that what may have been happening during that time. Remember, I explained that to you guys. So understand, us reading this is for us to get some type of context of what may have happened during this time. But take into consideration what I said about the names of these people. Okay? And I'm gonna read. And this is what it says. And it says, and it was in the 130th year of the life of Adam upon the earth that he again knew his wife, and she conceived and bare a son in his likeness and in his image, and she called his name Seth. So Yasha is saying the same thing that Genesis has said, saying, because God has appointed me another seed in the place of Abel, for Cain has slain him. And Seth lived 105 years, and he begat a son. And Seth called the name of his son Enos. saying, because in that time the sons of men begin to multiply and to afflict their souls and hearts by transgressing and rebelling against God. So what was Enos' name? Enos' name mean mortal. And I said, during the time of Enos, you begin to see the feebleness and the weakness of man. So it's evidence here that during this time that man began to multiply, but it also says, and to afflict their souls and hearts by transgressing and rebelling against God. This is man's weakness. They're afflicting their souls. They are becoming weak. And you're seeing them as mortals. And it was in the days of Enos that the sons of men continued to rebel and transgress against God, to increase the anger of the Lord against the sons of men. And the sons of men went and they served other gods, and they forgot the Lord who had created them in the earth. And in those days the sons of men made images of brass and iron, wood and stone, and they bowed down and served them. Now, mind you, where it says the sons of men, it can be understood as the sons of Adam. But of none of these sons are they made in the image and likeness of Adam, because they are not the descendants here of the ones that are mentioned. So you have Seth, and then each one that is mentioned, these are the ones that followed after the way of Adam. These are the ones that followed after the way of the truth, with the exception of one, and we'll get into that later. But there's a reason why it showed, because remember, they all had other children outside the ones that are just named. But out of all of those children, they begin to what? Afflict their souls. And this is not only talking about Cain's kids, this is talking about Enoch's kids. So just because your child was born in a holy, sanctified home does not mean that they're going to grow up and follow you. If it is not in them, if they don't have the strength to walk upright, they will not follow it. If they don't have the tenacity and the will to do what thus saith the Lord, they will not follow it. And therefore, they cannot have been said to be in the image and likeness of the Most High. They cannot be said to be in the image and likeness of you, if you are, in fact, following after the will of the Father. So, this is what it says. They served other deities. It says, and every man, this is what I'm going to highlight it. I'm right here, okay? And every man made his God, and they bowed down to them. And the sons of men forsook the Lord all the days of Enos and his children. And the anger of the Lord was kindled on account of their works and abominations which they did in the earth. And the Lord caused the water of the river Gihon to overwhelm them. Now, mind you, hold on. Gihon, I don't know if y'all remember this. Remember, this is theoretical. This is what could have happened during that time. We don't know if this version of Yasha is the complete one, but this is giving us some type of context of what could have happened. Gihon is one of the rivers coming out of Eden. Y'all remember that? So it says to overwhelm them and destroyed and consumed them. So basically God allowed a flood to happen. Before the flood of Noah, there was another flood. And he destroyed the third part of the earth. And notwithstanding this, the sons of men did not turn from their evil ways, and their hands were extended to do evil in the sight of the Lord. And in those days, there was neither sowing nor reaping in the earth, and there was no food for the sons of men, and the famine was great in those days. And the seed which they sowed in those days in the ground became thorns, thistles, and berries. Remember, the earth was cursed because of Adam. For from the days of Adam was the declaration concerning the earth of the curse of God, which he cursed the earth on account of the sin which Adam sinned before the Lord. And it was when men continued to rebel and transgress against God and to corrupt their ways that the earth also became corrupt. So as this is what it's telling us could have happened. And it makes sense. It's telling us that just as when Adam had sinned, thorns and thistles, berries came up. It's telling us that the more wicked man became, the more the earth suffered. The more wicked man became, the more they transgress and corrupt their ways, the more the earth became corrupt. It says that Enos lived 90 years and begat Canaan. And Canaan grew up, and he was 40 years old, and he became wise and had knowledge and skill and in all wisdom, and he reigned over all the sons of men, and he led the sons of men to wisdom and knowledge. But Canaan was a very wise man and had understanding and all wisdom, and with his wisdom he ruled over spirits and demons. Now, mind you, listen to this. Canaan, Canaan's name means lamentation and sorrow. That during the time of Canaan, there would have been lamentation and sorrow. Now, it says that Canaan was a man of wisdom, and he was wise, and he reigned over the sons of men, and he led the sons of men to wisdom and knowledge. For Canaan was a very wise man. And it says that he had wisdom and ruled over spirits and demons, kind of like you would call him the Solomon of his day, right? And Canaan knew by his wisdom that God would destroy the sons of men for having sinned upon the earth, and that the Lord would in the latter days bring upon them the waters of the flood. And in those days, Canaan wrote upon tablets of stone what was to take place in time to come, and he put them in treasures. And Canaan reigned over the whole earth, and he turned some of the sons of men to the service of God. And when Canaan was 70 years old, he begat 3 sons and 2 daughters. And these are the names of the children of Canaan. The name of the firstborn, Mahaliel. Mahaliel is who we know as the descendant, right? Which means praise of God or blessed of God. The second is Enan, and the third is Mered. And their sisters were Ada and Zillah. Now we know Ada and Zillah because we know somebody marries Ada and Zillah, one of Cain's descendants. These are the 5 children of Canaan that were born to him. And Lamech, the son of Medusael, now here we go. Don't get confused here. Lamech here, the son of Medusael, this is Canaan's descendants. I'm going to show you. Laman, the son of Medusael. Medusael was one of Canaan's descendants. Don't get him confused with Methuselah. Methuselah is Seth's descendant. Methusael is Cain's descendant. His son was Lamech. Now, what does it say about him? He became related to Canaan, so he married into Seth's. He married Seth's into that. He became related to them by marrying who? He took his 2 daughters for wives. So Lamech, from Cain's descendants, married Ada and Zillah, who were Canaan's from Seth's descendants. Are y'all following me? Let me know if y'all following me real quick. Somebody just let me know if y'all keeping up. If it's confusing, I'll slow it down and I'll restart it. Y'all keeping up? Somebody say something. You say yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So he took 2 daughters of his wives, and Ada conceived and she bare a son to Lamech, and she called his name Jabal. And she again conceived and bare a son and called his name Jubal. And Zillah, her sister, was barren in those days and had no offspring. For in those days the sons of men began to trespass against God and to transgress the commandments which he had commanded to Adam, to be fruitful and multiply on the earth. So this is making sense. This is making sense because this is still during the time of Canaan. Canaan is ruling right now, and his time is this time of lamentation and sorrow. And during this time, these people thought it was good for them not to bear children after God told them to. And it says some of the sons of men caused their wives to drink a draught that would render them barren. And so they was rebelling during this time, in order that they might retain their figures and whereby their beautiful appearance might not fade. It's making sense. Remember I told y'all, during the time of Adam, Seth, Enos, and Canaan was a time where man was appointed mortal sorrow. It's sorrowful in the earth right now. The earth is corrupt right now. It says, and when the sons of men caused some of their wives to drink, Zillah drank with them. And the childbearing women appeared abominable in the sight of their husbands as widows, while their husbands lived, for to the barren ones only they were attached. Y'all hear this? Don't this sound like today? Don't this sound like today where, not saying barren, but a lot of men today have eyes for women that have not had children because they feel like they still have their figure. And even a lot of women detest having children because they want to keep their figure. So they don't want to be fruitful, multiply. Don't that sound like today? Keep following.
Yeah, it does.
It sound like today. It says, and in the days, I'm right here. I'm showing you where I'm at. I'm right here. And in the days, and in the days and years when Zillah became old, the Lord opened her womb. So even though she tried to take this thing to close her womb up, she tried to get all this she tried to get fixed so she won't have no children. God still opened up her womb. And she conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Tubal-Cain, saying, after I had withered away, have I obtained him from the Almighty God. And she conceived and bare a daughter, and she called her name Naamah. For she said, after I had withered away, have I obtained pleasure and delight. And Lamech was old and advanced in years, and his eyes were dim, that he could not see. And Tubal-Cain his son was leading him. And it was one day that Lamech went into the field, and Tubal-Cain his son was with him. And while as they were walking in the field, Cain the son of Adam advanced towards them, for Lamech was very old and could not see much. Tubal-Cain his son was very young. And Tubal-Cain told his father to draw his bow. And with the arrows he smote Cain, who was yet far off, and he slew him, for he had appeared to them to be an animal. And Tubal-Cain told his father to draw, and Tubal-Cain, no, I'm sorry, and the arrows entered into Cain's body, although he was distant from them, and he fell to the ground and died. And the Lord requited Cain's evil according to his wickedness, which he had done to his brother Abel, according to the word of the Lord which he had spoken. And it came to pass, when Cain had died, that Lamech and Tubal-Cain went to see the animal which they had slain, and they saw, and behold, Cain their grandfather was fallen dead upon the earth. And Lamech was very much grieved at having done this, and clapping his hands together, he struck his son and caused his death. And the wives of Lamech heard what Lamech had done, and they sought to kill him. And the wives of Lamech hated him from that day. And because he slew Cain and Tubal-Cain, the wives of Lamech separated from him and would not hearken to him in those days. And Lamech came to his wives, and he pressed them to listen to him about this matter. And he said to his wives, Adah and Zillah, hear my voice, O wives of Lamech, attend to my words. For now you have imagined and said that I slew a man with my wounds, and a child with my stripes, for having done no violence. But surely know that I am an old and gray-headed, and that my eyes are heavy through age, and I did this thing unknowingly. So this confirms with what was said in Genesis. And the wives of Lamech listened to him in this matter, and they returned to him with the advice of their father Adam. But they bore no children. Remember I said Adam was still alive during this time. And they bore no children to him from that time, knowing that God's anger was increasing in those days against the sons of men to destroy them with the waters of the flood for their evil doings. And Maheliel, now this is going back to Seth's descendants, and Maheliel, the son of Canaan, lived 65 years and begat Jared, and Jared lived 62 years and begat Enoch. And Enoch lived 65 years, and he begat Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after having begot Methuselah, and he served the Lord and despised the evil ways of men. And the soul, now hold on, we got to stop real quick, because now we are Enoch. Because remember I told you, during that first period, it was man-appointed mortal sorrow. So that's Adam, Seth, Enos, Canaan. Then we get Maheliel, Jared, and Enoch, which is the blessed of God, or the blessed of God, or the praise of God, descends or shall come down, teaching, training, initiating, or dedicating. So this is a time right now where something is initiated. This is a time right now when things change, right? Still wickedness going on, but there's a time period right here where things are changing. It says that Enoch rose up. No. And it says, and he said, matter of fact, let me see right here. I'm going to start at verse 2. And the soul of Enoch was wrapped up in the instructions of the Lord, and the knowledge and in the understanding, and he wisely retired from the sons of men and secreted himself from them for many days. And it was at the expiration of many years, whilst he was serving the Lord and praying before him in the house, that an angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Here I am. And he said, called to heaven and said, Here I am. And he said, Rise, go forth from thy house, from the place where thou doest hide thyself, and appear to the sons of men, in order that thou mayest teach them the way in which they should go, and the work which they must accomplish to enter in the ways of God. So here we go. This is Enoch. And remember, during that time, the blessed of God or the praise of God, in this time can be understood as angels. They are the blessed of God, and they're the ones who offer praise to God, descend, and they teach and they train. So this is saying that an angel came and told Enoch it is time for him to teach and to train the sons of men in the ways of God. And Enoch rose up according to the word of the Lord and went forth from his house, from his place, from the chamber in which he was concealed, and went to the sons of men and taught them the ways of the Lord. And at that time assembled the sons of men and acquainted with them with the instruction of the Lord. So at this time, there was something initiated in the earth. It was the teaching, training, and dedication of the children of men to the ways of the Lord. And he ordered it to be proclaimed in all places where the sons of men dwelt, saying, Where is the man who wishes to know the ways of the Lord and good works? Let him come to Enoch. And all the sons of men then assembled to him, for all who desired this thing went to Enoch, and Enoch reigned over the sons of men according to the word of the Lord. And they came and bowed to him, and they heard his word. And the Spirit of God was upon Enoch, and he taught all his men the wisdom of God and his ways. And the sons of men served the Lord all the days of Enoch, and they came to hear his wisdom. And all the kings of the sons of men, both first and last, together with the princes and judges, came to Enoch when they heard of his wisdom, and they bowed down to him. And they also required of Enoch to reign over them, to which he consented. So they wanted him to be their king. And they assembled in all 130 kings and princes, and they made Enoch king over them. And they were all under his power and command. And Enoch taught them wisdom, knowledge, and the ways of the Lord. See, this is what I'm saying to you. These are the ones who walked in the ways of Adam. Remember, Adam was supposed to have dominion over the earth. So now we have his descendants. We have Seth. We have Enos. We have Canaan. They're walking in that authority on the earth, and they're showing forth the goodness and the works of God. They're showing forth his knowledge and his wisdom in the earth. In the earth, they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're walking in the image of what they was made to walk in. And Enoch reigned over the sons of men 243 years, and he did justice and righteousness with all his people, and he led them in the ways of the Lord. And these are the generations of Enoch: Methuselah. Now, mind you, listen, Enoch had other children, y'all. Elisha, Elimelech, meaning God, my God is king. Elisha, meaning my God is salvation. 3 sons, and their sisters were Melchah, Naamah, and Methuselah lived 87 years, and he begat Lamech. And it was in the 56th year of the life of Lamech, when Adam died, 930 years old, was he at his death. So Adam died now. And so Enoch was still alive, and Enoch had Methuselah. And Methuselah begat Lamech, and Adam died. And it was the 56th year, the 56th year of the life of Lamech when Adam died, at 930. It says, and his 2 sons, with Enoch, Methuselah his son, buried him with great pomp, as at the burial of kings, in the cave which God had told him. And in that place all the sons of men made a great mourning and weeping on account of Adam. It has therefore become a custom among the sons of men to this day. So a funeral procession. And Adam died because he ate of the tree of the knowledge, and he and his children after him, as the Lord God had spoken. And it was in the year of Adam's death, which was the 243rd year of the reign of Enoch, And that time Enoch resolved to separate himself from the sons of men and to secrete himself as at first in order to serve the Lord. And Enoch did so, but did not entirely secret himself from them, but kept away from the sons of men 3 days, and then went to them for 1 day. So he consecrated for 3 days and then went to them for 1 day. And during the 3 days that he was in his chamber, he prayed to and praised the Lord his God. And the day on which he went and appeared to his subjects, he taught them the ways of the Lord, and all they asked him about the Lord, he told them. And he did this manner for many years, and afterward concealed himself for 6 days and appeared to his people 1 day. So he consecrated now for 6 days and only showed himself for 1 day. And after that, once in a month, and then once in a year. So then he would he went from consecrating from 3 days and seeing them only 1, to consecrating for 6 days and seeing them only 1, to consecrating for a month, for consecrating for seeing them once out of the month, and then seeing them once out of the year, until all the kings, princes, and sons of men sought for him and desired again to see his face and to hear his word, but they could not, as all the sons of men were greatly afraid of Enoch, and they feared to approach him on account of the godlike awe that was seated upon his countenance. Therefore, no man could look at him, fearing he might be punished or die. So there's so much here to talk about with Enoch. Y'all want me to keep reading, or y'all want me to stop? Let me know.
Keep going.
Is that the consensus? Y'all want me to keep going? Dimitri said keep going. How many keep going you got? All right, go ahead. All right, let's go back. Y'all can see the screen? Let me know when y'all can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
see.
And all the kings and princes resolved to assemble the sons of men and to come to Enoch, thinking that they might all speak to him, and at that time when he should come forth amongst them, and they did so. And the day came when Enoch went forth, and they all assembled and came to him. Enoch spoke to them the words of the Lord, and he taught them wisdom and knowledge. And they bowed down before him, and they said, "May the king live! May the king live!" Remember I told y'all. Each one of them was a type of Christ. Enoch, teaching, training, initiating, and dedicating. He's a shadow of Christ. He's a shadow of Mashiach. And sometime after, when the kings and princes and the sons of men were speaking to Enoch, and Enoch was teaching them the ways of God, behold, an angel of the Lord then called unto Enoch from heaven, and wished to bring him up to heaven, to make him reign there over the sons of God, as he reigned over the sons of men upon earth. When at that time Enoch heard this, he went and assembled all the inhabitants of the earth, and taught them wisdom and knowledge, and gave them divine instructions. And he said to them, I have been required to ascend into heaven. I therefore do not know the day of my going. Come on, y'all. I therefore do not know the day of my going. And now, therefore, I will teach you wisdom and knowledge, and will give you instruction before I leave you, how to act upon earth whereby you may live. And he did so. And he taught them wisdom and knowledge, and gave them instruction, and he reproved them. And he placed before them statutes and judgments to do upon earth. So he gave them Torah before there ever was a law of Moses. He gave them Torah, statutes and judgments. And he made peace amongst them. And he taught them everlasting life, and dealt with them, sometime teaching them all these things. And at that time the sons of men were with Enoch, and Enoch was speaking to them, and they lifted up their eyes, and the likeness of a great horse descended from heaven, and the horse paced in the air. And they told Enoch what they had seen, and Enoch said to them, on my account does this horse descend upon earth. The time is come when I must go from you, and I shall no more be seen by you. And the horse descended at the time and stood before Enoch, and all the sons of men that were with Enoch saw him. And Enoch then again ordered a voice to be proclaimed, saying, where is the man who delighteth to know the ways of the Lord his God? Let him come to this day to Enoch before he is taken from us. And all the sons of men assembled and came to Enoch that day, and all the kings of the earth and their princes and their counselors remained with him that day. And Enoch then taught the sons of men wisdom and knowledge and gave them divine instruction. This is Torah. And he bade them serve the Lord and walk in his ways all the days of your lives. And he continued to make peace amongst them. And it was after this that they rose up and rode upon the horse. And he went forth, all the sons of men went after him, about 800,000 men. Jesus. And they went with him one day's journey. And it was after that he rose up and rode upon the horse, and they went forth, and all the sons of men. Oh, sorry, I read that already. And the second day he said to them, return home to your tents. Why will you go? Perhaps you may die. And some of them went from him, and those that remained went with him 6 days' journey. And Enoch said to them every day, return to your tents, lest you may die. But they were willing to return. They were not willing to return, and they went with him. And they urged so much to go with him, and he ceased speaking to them, and they went after him, and he would not return. And when the kings returned, they caused a census to be taken in order to know the number of remaining men that went with Enoch. And it was upon the 7th day that Enoch ascended into heaven in a whirlwind with horses and chariots of fire. So this is liking him to Elisha. I remember it said that he had a son named Elisha, but okay. Now, mind you, this is theoretical. This is what could have happened. We're using this to show what could have happened during this time, to give us some type of context. And on the 8th day, all the kings had been with Enoch, sent to bring back the number of men that were with Enoch in that place from which he had ascended into heaven. And all those kings went to that place, and they found the earth there filled with snow, and upon the snow were large stones of snow. And one said to the other, come, let us break through the snow and see, perhaps the men that remained with Enoch are dead, and are now under the stones of snow. And they searched but could not find him, for he had ascended into heaven. Now I'm gonna read chapter 4. That's gonna be the last one I read. And all the days that Enoch lived upon earth were 365 years. And when Enoch had ascended into heaven, all the kings of the earth rose and took Methuselah his son and anointed him. And they caused him to reign over them in the place of his father. And Methuselah acted uprightly in the sight of God, as far as his father Enoch had taught him. And he was likewise during the whole of his life taught the sons of men wisdom, knowledge, and the fear of God. He did not turn from the good way either to the right or to the left. So y'all, this is exactly what I'm saying. The ones who are named in Genesis, remember, the people who are named here, some of these people ain't even named in Genesis. Why? Because they're not relevant to the story. They may be Seth's descendants, but they are not created in the image and likeness of Adam. They are not created in the image and likeness of what God wanted to take place on the earth. So only those named in Genesis were walking in that image and likeness. Because there's many others that's named here. But of those 10, 9, these are only 9 of them was named, and there's many people who were here. But they were the ones walking in their dominion. It says, but in the latter days of Methuselah, the sons of men turned from the Lord. Y'all hear this? They turned from the Lord. They corrupted the earth. They robbed and plundered each other. They rebelled against God, and they transgressed, and they corrupted their ways, and would not hearken to the voice of Methuselah, but rebelled against him. And the Lord was exceedingly wroth against them. And the Lord continued to destroy the seed in those days, so that there was neither sowing nor reaping in the earth. And the Lord was So for when they sowed the ground, in order that they might obtain food for their support, behold, thorns and thistles were produced, which they did not sow. And still the sons of men did not turn from their evil ways, and their hands were still extended to do evil in the sight of God. And they provoked the Lord with their evil ways, and the Lord was wroth and repented that he had made them. And he thought to destroy and annihilate them, and he did so. And in those days, when Lamech, the son of Methuselah, was 160 years old, Seth, the son of Adam, died. Seth died, y'all. And in all the days that Seth lived were 912 years, and he died. And Lamech was 180 years old when he took Ashmua, the daughter of Elisha, which is actually Enoch's son. his uncle, and she conceived. And at that time the sons of men sowed the ground, and a little food was produced. Yet the sons of men did not turn from their evil ways, and they trespassed and rebelled against God. And the wife of Lamech conceived and bare a son at that time, at the revolution of the year. And Methuselah called his name Noah, saying, the earth was in his day at rest, free from corruption. And Lamech his father called his name Menachem, Menachem, saying, this one shall comfort. So it's actually a derivation from Noah's derivation of this. This one shall comfort us in our works and miserable. So you see this Menachem. This is actually, y'all know who Nahum is in the Bible? If y'all look up Nahum, the meaning of his name, it actually tracks back to this word right here. Just a little nugget. This one shall comfort us in our works and miserable toil in the earth, which God had cursed. And the child grew up and was weaned, and he went and hid in the ways of his father Methuselah. Hold up. Y'all hear that? This child grew up and was weaned, and he went in the ways of his father Methuselah. It doesn't say he went in the ways of Lamech. Perfect and upright with God. And all the sons of men departed from the ways of the Lord in those days, as they multiplied upon the earth, with sons and daughters, and they taught one another their evil practices, and they continued sinning against the Lord. And every man made unto himself a god, and they robbed and plundered every man his neighbor as well as relative, and they corrupted the earth, and the earth was filled with violence. And their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men and took their wives by force from their husbands according to the choice. And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the air, and they taught the mixture of animals of one species with another, in order therewith to provoke the Lord. And God saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth, all men and all animals. Y'all, this sounds like what's that show on Disney? Percy Jackson? The Olympus? It sounds like that. It says the judges and rulers, and their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men. This judges and rulers word right here, this judges and rulers word right here is literally it's like it's symbolic of the sons of God. It's symbolic of the angels. Because we know it is, because Genesis 6 tells us that the B'nai Ha-Elohim, the sons of God, took the daughters of men, and they bear giants. But not only did they bear giants, it says they took the beasts of the field and the fowls of the air, and they taught mixture of animals of one species with another. So they start to splinter. They started to create humanoid animals, centaurs and lymphs and things of mermaids, stuff like that. See, people be thinking this stuff at this time, this stuff was very prevalent. And today we call it Greek mythology. But this stuff was prevalent. It had truth to it. And the Lord said, I will blot out man that I created from the face of the earth, yea, from man to the birds of the air, together with cattle and beasts. So why? So he didn't just destroy man, he destroyed everything. Why? Because mankind was getting corrupted by the sons of God. The angels, their judges and rulers, was coming down, and they was mixing different species and creating abominations in the sight of the Lord. And this is during the time of when Noah was born. This is during the time of Lamech. This is during the time of Methuselah. Seth is dead. Adam is dead. And right now the Lord is very upset. And all men who walked in the ways of the Lord died in those days, before the Lord brought the evil upon them, which he had declared, for this was from the Lord, that they should not see the evil which the Lord spoke of concerning the sons of man. And Noah found grace in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord chose him and his children to raise up seed from them upon the face of the whole earth. Now I'm going to stop it here. Y'all, talk to me. What do y'all see what I'm saying? Where when I broke down the names from Adam to Noah and what the picture it paints for every single one of them, do y'all see what I was saying? Somebody talk to me. Do y'all see what I was saying when I broke it down?
Yeah.
Because you see this, right? In each generation, they got wicked. From Adam to Canaan, we see that sorrow. We see that mortal sorrow. And then from Mahaliel to Enoch, we see that time of training and teaching and dedication and initiation. We see that, right? But then when we get from what? Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah, that's where we just ended at. Methuselah's still alive. And remember, his name means whose death will send. So listen, this was chapter 5. And I'm happy that we read some of Enoch. And if y'all want me to do that more often, I mean, some of Enoch, some of Yasher, if y'all want me to do that more often, we will. But we're going to actually, next week, we're not going on to chapter 6. We're actually going on to Enoch. The first Enoch, the first book of Enoch, the same one that was found, that the Ethiopians had possessions of for generations, and the same one that was found, that was confirmed and found with the Qumran community. That's the one we're going to read. And want to get into that. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing a lot of reading, okay? And you guys are welcome to go ahead and read, but we will be doing a lot of reading and we will be doing a lot of discussing in the next couple of weeks concerning Enoch. And then when we are done, we're going to pick right back up here because now you guys will have all the context that you need. Y'all with me?
Aye, aye, Captain.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm excited. And I thank you guys that was watching on YouTube. Please like the video, share it. And you guys that's on here, please go on to YouTube, like the video, share it, things of that nature. But I'm happy that you guys was